Hey, everybody, welcome to this episode of Think Business Live. Looking forward to talking to Ryan Kugler. Ryan, welcome to the show. You are a serial entrepreneur. You have three companies, A5 Events, Ideal Content, and Plan B Distribution. We're going to be talking a little bit about, we'll go into a little bit of detail on all of those. But, I always love interviewing entrepreneurs. I love interviewing people who are, into businesses and have multiple businesses, because I always want to know, how do you balance your time, right? I think, because I think a lot of times people have so many ideas, they have so many things, but time management really gets in their way. I find myself as a business coach teaching a lot about time management. So as you just kind of zoom out and look in, as you run your three companies, how do you manage your time to do it all? All right. I think Ryan will be back in a minute. Hold on. Let's see here. So one of the things is, as we wait for Ryan to kind of come back, one of the things I see a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with is getting into the mix of figuring out how to deal with their time management. It's really difficult for them. And so one of the things I teach a lot about is, when it comes to time management, is each person wants to be a master student of their calendar. And here we go. Here's Ryan. Here we go.
I guess my internet went down or something, so now I'm on a phone. Sorry about that.
That's happened to me a couple times. I was actually interviewing, I'm not saying this to drop the name, but I was interviewing the global head of PayPal. Wow. And the second we went live, the transformer blew on my street. And so, wow. And so my internet went down. It was just like, so it happens all the time, but I'm glad you got back.
Yeah, there we go. So I'm on cell service now on my phone. So
yeah, no, you sound great. Yeah, no, you sound great. So, we're talking about time management. I was talking a little bit about, while we were waiting for you to come back, a lot of people struggle with time management. I see it as a business coach. I'm doing trainings and keynotes on it all the time. And so I was starting to talk about how it's so important to be a master student of your calendar. But I really want to know, as a serial entrepreneur who's running three companies, how do you manage your time?
Well, thank you. So first of all, thanks for having me on. I love being interviewed by someone who's also in the same field of business and making it happen. So well done. Okay, so how do I manage my time? Well, I start early. So I'm usually at the office between 5 and 5:30. I stay until about 4-ish. Sometimes leave a little early to go do meetings, but all meetings are in the afternoon. With the three companies, basically, I'm always, replying to emails and always dealing with all three companies with all three different emails. But basically, I do everything now. So if an email comes in, I don't try to put into a pending. I try to handle it right then and there, because I find that's the easiest way. It's just done. You hit delete, move on to the next one.
Yeah. What else? Give me one more tip that you do.
I do, one of the things I do is I do a little battle plan the night before. With goals and targets of what I want to get done. So when I come back to the office at 5 a.m, it's laid out step 1 through 10 of what I got to do, so that everything is, just a checklist, and I cross it off and it's done. And then, okay, if it's done by 11 a.m., 11:30, great. So then I'm always, I know this is a different world today, but in the sense that I'm always cold calling. Yes, I spend about an hour to 2 hours a day making calls to either old customers, new customers, potential prospects, because I always feel that's the thing you have to do. You still have to reach out and touch out to these people.
Yeah, I love it. And I agree with you. No matter how great technology is, nothing beats a phone call.
I agree.
Nothing beats a phone call.
But people still, they don't answer the phone. It's still a voicemail. But my philosophy is, if you hang up the phone, because I hate when people do this, because I see them call me and not leave a voicemail, and then they send me an email and says, hey, I called you, you didn't answer. I'm like, well, did you leave a voicemail? Always leave a voicemail, because you spent the money to make the call. You spent the 30 seconds. Leave a message, because they're going to listen to that voicemail eventually and then remember you.
Absolutely. Ryan, I'm so glad you brought that up, because it's like, I think people get so scared to leave a message, but statistically, 80% of calls don't get returned. And so if you don't start working on your voicemail to give people a reason to call you back, I mean, that's a skill of its own. If you can, just from a sales perspective, if you can get more people to call you back, you'll grow your business. So I agree. I think it's so important to leave a message, bring some value. I love it.
Yeah, it's also it's name recognition. It's like seeing a Coke ad.
Correct.
The more even if they don't call you back, the more they hear your name, the more you leave a message, the more that whenever they need your product or service, they're gonna call you back because they're gonna go, "Who's that guy that called me 42 times? Okay, let me call him back finally."
Yeah, I heard a story. I won't say the company name, but somebody called this person called a very high level person every month for 3 years.
Wow.
Fortune company, and the person never called them back. But when it came time to find their successor, they reached out to this person, and that person ended up getting the job. And I say that because you never know what type of campaign you're doing for yourself. So I think that's so smart. Yeah,
it is true. And a very similar story. There's an account, a retailer, because we own a wholesale business, and I did business with them 10 years ago, calling them ever since. When the pandemic hit, everyone was gone. They finally called me back, and you know what? That resulted in a very, very large invoice, which helped us through the pandemic time. So it does work, just like you said in your story. They do call you finally back. It might not be the next day. It might be 2 years later, but it's worth it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's like the slot. I mean, we keep on giving examples, but it's like you always want to play the slot machine that the person's been at and finally walks away.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
Absolutely. Good job. So, I love talking about that, but we're talking about consistency right now. So as a business owner, what have you found? What other things have you found have helped you by just being consistent?
Well, consistency also, basically any type of outflow, as I call it, whether it's emailing, whether it's calling, whether it's sending something in the mail. Yes, we still do that, but also sticking to a schedule, which then leads to self-discipline. Today's world, everyone can become lazy, and I'm guilty of it too. You can get in a comfort zone and just go, you know what? I don't want to do that. I'm happy just doing ABC. But with the way the world is today, you need to pivot and have challenges. And by doing that, which is one of the reasons I own 3 companies now and work all 3 companies, because if you just get in a comfort zone, and everyone is guilty of it, you will slowly decline your sales, your business, whatever. But you always need to be thinking outside of the box and doing something else, which then leads to the self-discipline of going to work at 5 or 5:30 in the morning and actually picking up the phone and making calls for an hour.
Yeah. It's interesting as you're talking, one of the things I talk about a lot, Ryan, is predictability. And it's so important not only for clients and for people that you're on your team, but for yourself too, to have certain rituals that you do that are predictable, that what to kind of expect. I echo that. I love what you're talking about.
Thank you,
As
sir.
somebody who is running 3 companies and managing a lot of people, I find I work with a lot of managers who don't know how to manage people, right? They get promoted because they were good at their job. The company isn't investing in them. Then they finally realize, wow, we have to start training these managers because these managers are costing us. A great manager can make a lot of money, and a bad manager can cost the company a lot of money and turnover. How have you seen, especially as you're talking about, you've got the one client you got through COVID. We're kind of still in COVID, but kind of out of COVID. It's kind of, I'm not really sure how to define that, but I don't think anybody
knows where we're at.
Right. I don't think anybody is. So how have you, how has your management style changed, and how do you manage? What's your secret sauce for managing people?
So what I find, especially when I do an event, because I have an event business, and like we have an event this weekend and we have 150 people showing up, what I find the best way to manage them is to give purpose. So when I give a task to somebody like, hey, you got to go out there and go do this, or hey, you got to give people a banana, or hey, set this up, I give them the reason why before I tell them what to do, because I find if they hear the reason why, they're going to have more intention to do it and want to do it better. If you just say, hey, go to the corner and flag people going that way, usually today's people, they're just going to go, huh? Why? Okay, fine. And then they're going to do it the wrong way. But if you say, hey, listen, you're going to go to the corner, you're going to direct people this way because that's the parking. And if they don't go to parking, they're not going to get to the event on time, and then we can't start the event. So you got to make sure they go to the left. And that's what I find. Always give someone a reason why you're telling them what to do, what needs to be done.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And it's so simple, it's complicated, right? For so many people, because I think, and because I echo that a lot, right? Like, make people feel like they matter, tell them how it fits into the bigger picture of things, connect it to the vision, and it's so important. And it doesn't, you don't need to read that one in a book. You just need to be reminded of it and then actually pause and execute. So why do you think so many people, I think, and people are in such a rush in this, why do you think so many people have a hard time just slowing down and doing that, what you just said?
Well, I'm guilty of that. I'm very fast. The way I talk, my wife, my kids, they're always like, wait, Dad, slow down. Hold on. What do you want us to do again? You just gave me 10 things. So I'm very quick, and I try to do it quick because, again, that goes to your first question on time management. I try to get everything done by a certain time, and I'm just use self-discipline. But I find that telling people what to do and giving them orders one at a time also helps too. And yes, you do need things done quickly, but sometimes, hey, let's slow down. It's okay. I don't need this done for 3 hours. Or, hey, you know what? The job you're doing, I'm actually good. I don't need it for 5 days. And that's the other thing I tell people when managing people. I will give a task and say, listen, I'm cool. You get this done in a week. I'm happy. Good to go.
Yeah. Are entrepreneurs born or made?
Both.
Tell me.
I think that certain people, certain molds have a chip installed in them, like an Intel chip. And I think they know how to do certain things. I've seen, all along the gamut of friends and people I've hired and people that volunteer at our events. Some people are just slow and lazy, not moving, and that's just who they are and what they are, and that's okay. But they know how to go on and code a website in 40 seconds, which I could never do. So I think everyone has a certain talent, just like I could not play sports, or basketball like the talented, basketball players that are out there. But some people can never manage an event or come to an office and run 3 companies and have the brain power to do it. So I think some people are born with certain talents, but then I think other people will read a book like yours or others and then go, you know what? And then motivate themselves or get inspired and then go out and start a huge company and sell it for billions of dollars.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think?
You mentioned, I'll tell you in a second, but you mentioned a chip, right? Some people are born with a chip. What kind of chip do you need on your shoulder, or do you need a chip on your shoulder to drive some level of success as an entrepreneur?
Well, it's a different definition of chip. So sometimes when people say,
I know, I'm redefining it.
Okay. I want to make sure because we don't want to confuse the listener.
I'm evolving the chip discussion. Yeah.
Okay, good. The chip isn't something that helps you do better and more like a computer chip.
Right. Yeah.
So what was your question again? Sorry, I got lost.
Like, what kind of, I hate saying it because it sounds negative, but do you find, I interview a lot of entrepreneurs and there's always like, even if it's like a subtle, it's not that it's so negative, but there's a little chip on their shoulder that drives them, right? It's like, it's something. So,
Yeah. Okay. I get what you're saying. And I'm going to go in the middle with what we talked about.
Yeah.
So sometimes people have something that does drive them. So I did as a younger kid, and I was in high school and messing around and having a good time. And I remember the dean came to me and said, it was like on a weekend, like, I had to go see her and I was in trouble because I was messing around. And then my friend was outside and we were giggling and she came to me and she said, you're never going to make it in life. You're never going to make it.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of those things. And you know what? Yeah. That is something that drove me. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to prove you effing wrong.
Yeah. No, 100%. And those are some of my moments too, right? Yeah. Like I remember being in kindergarten. So I'm 49 years old.
Congrats.
I remember being in kindergarten and taking a test that was supposed to tell you what you were going to do for the rest of your life.
Wow.
And it said that I put, how old am I in kindergarten? 5, 6 years old. Yeah. I'm raised in a Jewish household where it's like, good. There's a lot of Jewish doctors. We're a lot of doctors, a lot of lawyers. So I put lawyer or doctor, and it said that I was qualified to be a dock loader. And I remember when I read it, I thought I didn't know what that was at the time, but it always stuck with me. And I thought, how I even remember at that age, and on some level, but thinking, how can they tell me what I'm going to be for the rest of my life when I'm in kindergarten, right?
I agree. But you know what's funny? A dock loader. First of all, you would do very well at that right now since the ports are having a problem. But 2. Dock and loader. I think they confuse the computer between doctor and lawyer. Sounds like dock loader.
Oh, maybe.
I just think of that somehow.
Maybe. Yeah. But I did. I remember I had this econ teacher in college that I was very confused about something, and I went, and he like just was so like not nice to me, and I was like, am I the only one that has a question about this? Like, he was like, you're the only one. And he was just like, I was like, what? I was like, but right. Small things like that, right? It's like, right. Yeah. So yeah, I love that. All right. So let's talk about you. So you have these you have these companies. Tell everybody a little bit about each company.
Okay, so I have one company called Plan B, which is a wholesale liquidator. So which basically means we're in the business of buying people's excess inventory, their excess inventory, closeout, surplus inventory. So when someone makes a new product, sometimes it doesn't all sell. Sometimes they need to change the package. Sometimes just something happens. Well, we are the Plan B, because it's called Plan B, when Plan A doesn't work. So I've been doing this personally for some 30 years. It started as a family business. I'm really out on my own now. And we work with all the major retailers. We work with major manufacturers, and we help them move, or should I say remove, their inventory issues and find a new home for it. So we try to make it so it doesn't go in the dump, basically.
Yeah, I love it. All right.
Company one. Company
Wait,
two.
hold on. So one best practice that has grown that company.
Persistence.
Okay. Good,
continually being, which we kind of touched on before, but
yeah,
retailers, buyers, every time you walk into a store, there's a product on a shelf. There's a buyer who has to buy that product and put it on the shelf, and he's buying 50 other products.
Yeah.
And these buyers are inundated with thousands of calls or emails a day with new products, with everybody, your listeners made some new widget and they get those calls. Well, you have to be persistent to get through to those buyers, like any industry. So.
Yeah. All right, good. Okay, next company.
I own another company called Ideal Content. We make specialized high-end marketing material, which really is something called a video brochure. Basically, it's a brochure that's custom made to the account, and it plays a video upon opening. So there's a video screen physically inside a piece of paper or cardboard brochure that we make, which we also do with boxes, with presentation boxes.
Oh, those are cool. I've gotten one. Years ago, I got one from who was the guy? He was the Fly in the movie The Fly.
Jeff Goldblum, apartments.com.
Did you do those?
Yeah, I can't say yes or no.
Okay, you can't say yes or no, but I got a box from that.
Okay.
And it was really cool marketing. That was a really cool marketing piece. Beautiful box, open it up. It was very cool. One thing, one best practice from that company.
You always need new products. So that's the other thing. You need to pivot. So great, we make a video brochure, but you know what? Once a company or a client buys that, like apartments.com, they're done and they want something new and different. So I always need to present new products. So you always need to find something new. Just like Coca-Cola comes out with a new flavor or a new color every 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. On a side, have you ever watched, we'll get to the next company, the Men That Built America, the Food That Built America?
Oh my God. Best show.
It's the best. And the Food That Built America, just, the Coca-Cola story and everything.
It really is a phenomenal show how they really acted out. And that's motivating, by the way, for any listener.
Yeah, me too.
That motivates you going, here's the dude who was in his garage and came up with a muffler that turned into a car that turned into a huge international company.
I never really cared for Reese's peanut butter cups until I never liked them. But until I watched it and watched the story of them, on how Reese, the guy Reese came up, created them, and they accidentally burnt the peanuts, and that's the taste that everybody loves today. So
I did not see that episode, but I think it's on.
You got to watch it. Yeah, you got to watch.
My thing to watch.
Yeah, watch it. All right, next company.
A5 Events. So we're an event company. Basically, every person, all your listeners, even, I'm sure you are too, but everyone should be doing something to help out the world, some humanitarian thing, okay? Whether it's volunteering at a church or being part of a church or something. But in my younger 20-some years ago, I was helping out with a 5K charity run, a run walk. And my job escalated into me running the event, okay? And because I was doing it well, this is where I had a certain computer chip installed in me. I knew how to put it on an event thoroughly without hiccups or problems. And my name started getting around LA, and I was getting calls from like studios or huge companies saying, we heard you put on an event, YMCA. Can you help us with ours?
Yeah.
And I turned that into a business. So my volunteering turned into a profit center. And it actually is like a hobby. I actually like doing it. Putting out an event that takes 5 hours and you get 150, 200 people and then it's done. It's great.
That's cool. Well, we'll talk about conscious capitalism at its best. That's great. I love that. All right. You ready for a quick speed round, Ryan?
Go for it.
Oh, wait. One best practice from that company.
You got to think 10 steps ahead of yourself in the event business. Yeah. Everything is going to go wrong in an event, and you need to predict it and see it before it goes wrong, before someone comes to you and says, what about this?
Yeah, forecasting. I agree. Yeah. All right, good. Quick speed round. Favorite book and why?
Oh, my God. Napoleon Hill. Rich. What is it?
Think and Grow Rich.
Thank you. Yes,
You're
good
welcome.
book. I read it a couple times.
I got your back.
Okay.
Yeah. Best piece of wisdom you've ever received.
Ooh, that's from my father. Keep making the calls.
That's a great one. That's a
yeah,
great.
really.
So
Every time I would go to him.
Yeah, so simple and
my
complicated.
Boss, I would go to him and say, "Hey, the numbers are down. Nothing's happening." He says, "Just me. Keep making the calls. Something will come back. Trust me."
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Last, well, a couple more questions, but finish this sentence. One thing every aspiring entrepreneur who is stuck right now needs to do is
read a motivational book. Like find a mentor, like you, and read a book, and it will motivate you and get you to the next step. It will get you out of the rut, writer's block or selling block or business block, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm only saying this because you said that, but my book is downloadable for free at johndwoskin.com.
I want you to pitch it. I love it. You sent it to me, so I'm going to read it on my plane ride next week.
Yeah, good. Last question. Fast forward 100 years. You talked a little bit about your dad. What do you want your legacy to be?
That I knew how to put on good events.
That's good.
That's what I thought of. I don't know why.
All right, good. Ryan, tell everybody.
I have an event this weekend, and that's all I'm thinking about right now. Because Fridays is usually event day, and I just focus on that.
I like it. Tell everybody how they can connect with you, learn more about you, your businesses, etc.
You can always go to my website, ryankugler.com, RYANKUGLER.com, or something easier, aplanb.com. Any of my sites will lead you to the other sites. So usually people call me more because they made some widget and they're stuck with it. So aplanb.com.
All right, cool. Ryan, this was fun. This was a pleasure. I appreciate your time. Think community. If Ryan can help you, please reach out. Ryan, this was a blast. Thanks, man.
Thank you. And vice versa.